in for Hard Knocks.
By the way, Jody, I'm surprised we haven't gotten to our top 25, Ed and I's top 25, because
shoot, yeah, I never did that. We
well,
got to number 5. I apologize for that. I got it right here, but it's my bad.
I thought we got to 4. That's why.
We got to 5 yesterday. We broke the top 5 yesterday. Who do you guys have at number 4?
And I knew this day was coming. That's why. And I knew I was going to get a lot of shit for number 4, which is absurd.
I know where you're going. Okay. I didn't look it up, but I know where you're going by the way you describe it.
Yeah. And sure enough, I got a lot of shit, but number 4 is Jalen Hurts, the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles.
And please explain.
I'm interested.
Giving you shit as to why there's a difference, because a lot of people have these lists, and some call it most important. You specifically labeled it top 25. In your mind and Ed's mind, combining the two lists, there was a different definition you were using.
And I blame Ed. I blame Ed because it's my reason he's number 4. Ed had him at number 2. I had him at number 5. And he ended up at number 4 overall. I tried to explain this, but people don't get it, man. I mean, if you want to talk about the most impactful, Dave Zangaro does this list for NBC Sports Philadelphia. That's easy. Nothing against Dave. The most impactful player on every single football team is the starting quarterback, good or bad, 1 through 32. You know, you look at it from a draft perspective, whether it's we talked about Marcus Mariota, whether it's the Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota year, they weren't the best players in the draft, but they went 1-2. Whether it was the Jared Goff, Carson Wentz year, they weren't the best players in the draft, but they went 1-2. What we're just talking about, and I conflated, and thanks for correcting me, I conflated a couple drafts there. Trevor Lawrence, yeah, he belonged at the top of the draft, but then it was Zach Wilson and Trey Lance at 2 and 3. They didn't deserve to be at 2 and 3. And by the way, if you looked at that draft, the players in that stinking draft, my God, that draft was good. It's very early in the process, and teams are picking Zach Wilson and Trey Lance 2 and 3. I go back to Bill Belichick, how I explain this list. Do your job. Who does their job at the highest level? If you look at it that way, people say, I disrespect Jalen Hurts. You're disrespecting the certain players
1, 2,
who I
3,
can't
4,
name.
the guys that you have in slots ahead.
You are tremendously, because I had a difficult time with 4 and 5, and I could have put Jalen ahead of Hassan Reddick. Those were 4 and 5 on our list, so I can say that. The top 3, that's sort of where the fall off was for me, Jody. That's where the fall off was, from 3 to 4. And then when you're looking at the traits, those three guys, you can't look at me as a football person and say,
I can.
Do your job and say he does it at a higher level than those 3. Doesn't mean he doesn't do his job at a high level.
I know you don't want to give it away, but you went down this road, so now I got to debate you on it. I take it you have A.J. Brown 3.
Well, I can't say that, but I'll do the alphabetical order one.
Okay, please.
A.J. Brown, Lane Johnson, Jason Kelce.
Jason Kelce, right. Those are your top 3 as they should be. You're telling me A.J. Brown is that much better at wide receiver than Jalen Hurts is at quarterback?
I'm saying he's better he's a better wide receiver. He's
what
better.
You just said was
job.
There was a big gap between 3 and 4.
Yes,
he's got to be one of those. So you're saying A.J. Brown is that much better a wide receiver than Jalen Hurts as a quarterback?
Yes.
Yeah,
A.J. Brown, and I go back. A.J. Brown is 6'1" and 226 pounds. runs 4.4 in the 40. He was the best slant receiver in football, according to Pro Football Focus. He was the second best go route receiver in football, according. That's a 6'1", 226 guy who can beat you every way under the sun. He can beat you short. He can beat you long. He's the best. He's got Randy Moss like late hands.
So where would you rank AJ Brown and the wide receivers in the National Football League right now?
Top 5. To me, it would go Jefferson, Adams, and then he's in the conversation. I don't get to see Jamar Chase enough. I just get to hear the reputation. He drops the football a little bit too much for me. But most scouts would say Jamar Chase. And then you have Tyreek Hill, who I think is splashier, but I think AJ is a better all-around receiver. I would say he's in the conversation. The only two I would put ahead of him definitively right now are Jefferson and Adams. That's it.
All right, and I would put Tyreek Hill ahead of him, and I think if you're looking at full-time career, last year AJ had a better year, but I think Stephon Diggs would be ahead of him too. So, yeah, I got him at number 5. I got Jalen as a top 5 quarterback.
Well, all right, but you seem, and correct me if I'm wrong, you seem to be having a problem with my declaration that the top 3 are ahead of number 4.
Big drop off between 3 and 4 is what I have a problem with. Yeah.
And again, correct me if I'm wrong. You don't have a problem. You don't think it's disrespectful to say AJ Brown, Lane Johnson, and Jason Kelce are better football players than Jalen Hurts?
With the way that you've constructed your list, yeah, no, I got no problem with it. If you want to put Jalen Hurts in at number 4, I just have a problem with big drop off from 3 to 4.
That is not an insult to put Jalen Hurts at number 4 on what might be the best roster.
Not the way that you guys you explained your line of thinking. Absolutely viable to put him at number 4.
And all I got, and I knew I was going to get it, Jody. I knew I was going to get it. Well, the position is so impactful. That's not my list.
Right.
Guess what?
You're defining your list differently. Absolutely.
If Jalen Hurts gets hurt tomorrow, and I hope he doesn't, the most important player on the Philadelphia Eagles becomes Marcus Mariota.
Correct.
He's not the best player, but he's the most important. So don't give me position, because every quarterback, if you go to the Rams, the greatest defensive player of this generation was never the most important player on the Rams. It was either Jared Goff or Matthew Stafford were more important than Aaron Donald. If you want to go, I just said Justin Jefferson. He was the offensive player of the year last year. Kirk Cousins is more important to the Vikings. The defensive player of the year was Nick Bosa. Jimmy Garoppolo, Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, Sam Darnold, insert name, is more important to the San Francisco 49ers.
Right.
That's easy. The quarterback's the most important. Who's the best at their particular jobs? And to me, by the way, number 1 was easy. And I can't give it away, but it was easy.
Yeah, I think your number 1 is probably my number 2, because I put my list together. As you mentioned, Dave Zangaro, NBC Sports, I've been running it down every day. They definitively defined it as important, which put that added emphasis on the quarterback position with the way the game is played in the National Football League these days. Your list seems to me more to be like, well, where does he rank in his positional group against the other guys who play the same position he does in the National Football League? And if he is that highly ranked in any position, in your list, all positions created equal. That left tackles are the same as right guards, are the same as quarterbacks, is the same as wide receivers. It's a position, and the actual impact that it can have on a game, you're not factoring in at all. with my list, I think I'm somewhere in the middle, because I think if you look at the NBC Sports, you see, oh yeah, there's a big lean toward quarterback because in a given game, quarterback has that much more of an effect on the game. You guys tried to do it cut and dry. Dave did it with, oh yeah, I'm going to look at it as the way it affects a game, who has more impact because of the position they play. I tried to find a middle ground there with the way I did my list. I don't just have a hard and fast separation between positions where they're all created equal, but I'm not just going to all the quarterbacks got to be number one because you're the quarterback. I actually think the quarterback earned it this year, and with my leaning, it all comes down to the way that you wanted to put the list together and how you defined it. And I understand your definition of how you and Ed did it. I just don't think there's that big a drop off between number 3 and number 4.
And that's fine. That you can make an argument for. But yeah, I call it Bill Belichick rules. I say, do your job. Who does their job the best? What is their job, and who does it at the highest level? That's my number one. And I think Jalen being 4 is right where he should be. Again, I wavered between him and Hassan Reddick. But the top 3, I didn't waver. And that's, maybe I stated it a little bit too harshly, but I didn't waver on the top 3. It wasn't difficult. The top 3 wasn't difficult. And Bob Groats, letting Xander know, says the link is not working for him. So if you can try to forward him another link, or
and we'll get Groats involved in this conversation as well, and let him put how he would define it. John and Ed had their definition. I kind of got my definition. They have a different definition. This is what we do during the summer. We come up with lists until the Eagles actually get back out there on the field. Where I'm really upset with John and Ed's list is how they just left out the punter on an all-important
list. I put the kicker on there, though, and that was difficult for me because it's not easy. Like, how do you put a kicker on the list of the best football players? And that's why, I said, all right, well, what's his job? And Jake Elliott does it at a really high level. Didn't have that difficulty.
Yeah, I think you disrespected him at number 21. I had him all the way up at number 20. I don't know what you guys were thinking on that one. All right, he's John McMullen. I'm Jody McDonald. We are efforting getting the correct link, a working link to Bob Groats. And oh, by the way, without knowing, 98% sure that it was Groats. It's
probably Groats' fault.
Yeah. Do you think it's Xander or Groats? Who do you think screwed this one up?
I'm going 95% Groats.
I'm 98% Groats. He's John McMullen. I'm Jody McDonald. We're going to take a quick timeout, come back, see if we are joined by the Prince of Darkness himself, Bob Groats from Delco Times. Hopefully we get him up next here on Birds 365.